wanderer, worshipper, lover of living, causes no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of living, causes no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come, yet again, come, yet again, come, yet again, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of weaving, horses no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come.
Awesome. And then our second one is going to be number 360, 360 in the gray hymnal. Here we have gathered.
Here we have gathered side by side, circles of friendship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who speak here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here we have gathered, all to celebrate days of our lifetime, matter small and great. We of all ages, women and children, men, infants and sages, sharing what we can. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regrets, but in the shadows let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give we gain. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song. And now we'll hear a lovely piece from Adam on the organ. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Congregation. It's lovely to see you all here. I'm Jenny Lynn Moyer. My pronouns are she, her. And for my visually impaired friends, I'd like to share that I'm a middle-aged white lady wearing a blue dress with black leggings, and if you really leaned in, you'd see a coffee stain down the front. I spilled a little bit this morning. Blonde hair and a bun. So I'd like to invite you all to stand and greet your neighbors. Turn around, say hello. Good morning. I love the colors. Good morning. Yay. All right, y'all, join me in singing welcome. Singing welcome, welcome to this place. You're invited to come and take your place. Oh, welcome to grow in love and grace, 'cause everyone is welcome here. All are welcome in this space. Singing welcome, welcome to this place. You're invited to come and take your place. All are welcome to grow in love and grace, 'cause everyone is welcome here. All are welcome in this place. Oh, so wonderful to hear you all singing. Thank you.
Great, 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 great. I am the Reverend Ali Casey Bell. I'm a dark-skinned African-American trans man who was assigned female at birth. I'm in a black robe with big puffy sleeves and a stole that is red and green and orange and black and a kente cloth type fabric, and I am so happy to be with you today. If you saw me, most people think that I'm very tall, and I am not. I'm about 5'2". Welcome to Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your beliefs, gender identity, sexual orientation, documentation status, and disability, and wherever you are joining us from today, in person, at home, you are welcome to bring your whole self here. A special welcome to those of you who are new to Cedar Lane this morning. And if you're joining us for the first time today and you feel comfortable or you're still feeling newish, please raise your hand in person or add your name in the chat, and we'll give you a tiny little present and a warm Cedar Lane blessing online and in person. So just raise your hand and we'll give you a welcome. Or we can just say, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. There are so many places you could have been today, and we are so happy that you chose to be here with us. Our weekly newsletter, e-newsletter, is a great way to stay updated about all the happenings at Cedar Lane, and you can sign up through the link on our website homepage at cedarlane.org. And today, our pastoral visitor is Kay Gottesman. She is right here, and she's available to support you in person. Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Congregation is situated on the ancestral lands of the Nacotch Tank people, part of the Piscataway tribes, and on the land on which enslaved Africans worked without choice or reward. We honor with gratitude the land and the people who protected this congregation and this land through the generations. We gather in gratitude for all who have gone before us, for their love and their labor, for those who helped create this space and sustain the mission and ministry of this religious community. And in this spirit, we gather. In this spirit, we worship. In this spirit, we begin.
My name is Melissa Reichley. I'm the worship associate this morning, and my pronouns are she and her. And I am a white lady wearing a purpley blue blouse and a green scarf. As members of the construction team, kindle the chalice. Please share in the chat where you are lighting your chalice from. Ooh, we got the hard hats too. I love it. Please rise in body and or in spirit to share the chalice lighting words. With the kindling of our flame, we recognize the fragility of life and our own mobility as we navigate life's challenges and blessings. May this light remind us of our strength as individuals and collectively as a community to lean and respond, finding our way forward together. Please stay standing and sing hymn number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door.
Good morning. I'm Advi Janamanchi, one of the ministers serving this religious community. My pronouns are he and him. I am a brown-skinned, older, some may call old Indian male. No. Okay. With mostly dark hair and a graying mustache, wearing a black robe and a multicolored stole. And there are a number of things I would like to lift up this morning, beginning with our construction updates. Wasn't that wonderful to see our construction team with their hard hats? All right. Thank you all for all that you have been doing to prepare us to this moment as we embark on our construction this week. And so we will have a groundbreaking ceremony outside in the courtyard right after our service, a brief ritual kind of marking this day, this occasion, as we move into this phase of our life together. And then that'll be followed at 12:30 by a work party that's going to gather right here to take care of all the other stuff that has been sitting around that needs to be packed and stored and put away or thrown away All those things will be happening this afternoon, so if you have some time and some muscle to share, we would be grateful. Thank you, Greg Falsino, for leading this effort in making us ready. Thank you. And going forward, we will be meeting next Sunday, March 12th, at our usual time at 10:30 in the chapel, which is the smaller worship space in this building where we will be, and we're hoping we'll have some seating in the library if we have any overflow, and of course we will be meeting online as well. And we're encouraging people to create some not work parties, you can do that too, to have some watch parties starting next Sunday, meet in each other's homes and join the service that way, because going forward March 19th through April 2nd, we will be going completely online while the building is being prepared and we go through asbestos abatement. And we hope to return back to the building on Easter Sunday, April 9th. More to follow. Please stay tuned in your e-news for updates and information. Also, we kicked off our 2023 annual fund campaign last Sunday, What If? And we are off to a great start. As of yesterday, we have almost $300,000 in pledges. From 59 pledging families, which is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for all who responded with generosity, and many of you have increased your support. We're deeply grateful for that. And we're a third of the way. Our goal is at $900,000, so we're hoping that we'd be able to get to this in the next few weeks. And also our board member, Stephanie Williams, is sweetening the deal by adding $1 to her pledge for every pledge card submitted during this campaign, including those of you who, due to circumstances, are unable to pledge this year. If you would just write on the pledge card, "I am unable to pledge this year," she is still going to add $1 to her pledge. Thank you, Stephanie. Many thanks. And due to our construction process, our 8th Principle Embodiment Group will be showing the movie The Number 8 at our sibling congregation, Rockville UU congregation, today at 3 o'clock in their founder's room. We'll be joined by members of the Rockville congregation who will be seeing this powerful documentary movie about not just the 8th principle, but about women's rights, about multiculturalism, and doing the work of anti-racism. And also today at 1 p.m. on Zoom, we will be joining our River Road and Fairfax and Arlington siblings to join the Reverend Cheryl Walker, who is serving on the Article 2 Commission that is reviewing the Article 2 of the UUA's bylaws that includes our principles and purposes. It's going to be a very informative session about what is being proposed, as well as an opportunity for people to share their thoughts and some of their concerns. If you haven't registered, the registration link is in the e-news. And next Sunday, we will be joining our River Road siblings and other AIM partners at the 2023 annual, accountability action. Just lost my script. Want to make sure I'm saying the right thing, because I tend to have that habit of just blurting something. Next Sunday, March 12th at 2:30 p.m. at the People's Community Baptist Church in Silver Spring. Yes, Gail. Yes. Cedar Lane has always showed up with a very strong contingent. Usually 50 to 60 of our Cedar Laners have showed up for these actions. This is an opportunity for us to hold our newly elected county executive, re-elected county executive, and council members to their campaign commitments on issues including full-day pre-K, dental care for adults, climate justice, tenants' rights, more affordable housing in Montgomery County, and neighborhood safety. So friends, let us show up and be part of this important action next Sunday. And last but not least, please save the date, Saturday, May 13th. Saturday, May 13th, to come together to make some magic for our 2023 spring auction celebration, which will once again be held at UU Rockville, where we will be gathering that day for dinner and a live auction and some wonderful magic by a well-known magician who will be working with both adults and children. It promises to be an exciting community event. Stay tuned for more details. How are we doing? All right. Let us now move into the space of naming and sharing our joys and sorrows, both of this community and beyond.
Let us center ourselves and enter into this moment, calling upon all the sources of love that are within and among and around us. We lift up those in our community who are living through significant passages, the small and extraordinary milestones of life. We pause to be present to our spiritual companions and to the concerns of our own hearts. Within our Cedar Lane community, we send healing wishes to Candace Haga as she recovers from COVID. We celebrate with Linda and Leonard Giannessi, who are thrilled to announce the engagement of their son, Bob, to Pichikarn. And my family is happy to wish our son, Everett, a happy 16th birthday, and my nephew, Jonathan, a happy 21st birthday. May you both continue to grow and thrive in this world. And our caring extends beyond Cedar Lane to those others whose lives are lost and lives who are impacted by war and violence and calamities in our nation and in our world, which there are so many. We hold in our hearts the people in Palestine, and we hold in our hearts the trans community as they're experiencing genocide here in the United States. We hold in our hearts the people all over the world who are not allowed to live as they truly are. We hold in our hearts all of your friends and all of your family who you are so desperately wondering about, seeking for, caring for. May these friends of ours, our companions in the world, and all the joys and sorrows we hold in our hearts be held in the embrace of silence. And as we enter the silence together, you're invited to rise in body or in spirit and speak the names of the loved ones that you're holding in remembrance, or share their names in the chat. You're invited to also light a candle for them over by our pastoral visitor, Kay. And you're invited to do that at this time. For those of you who are standing, you may be seated as you choose. Spirit of life and love, we light these candles and we lift these prayers, knowing that all the things on our hearts have already been spoken and thought, knowing that this community holds all, knowing that together we rise, together we can and we will be okay. We pray these things in the name of the Most High. Amen. Ashe and blessed be.
Each Sunday, we give and receive an offering to sustain the mission and ministry of our religious community and support a community organization that is in alignment with our mission. The offering is a visible, symbolic, and real way in which we demonstrate our commitment and our love for our faith community, and its ministry. Today, we share the plate with the Living Legacy Project, LLP. LLP organizes Unitarian Universalist pilgrimages to Selma, Alabama, and other historic civil rights sites. Cedar Lane will be joining the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Ann Arbor, Michigan, later this fall in October on a civil rights pilgrimage to Alabama and Mississippi. We will be sharing more information in upcoming months and hope that a group will join our Ann Arbor siblings on this pilgrimage. Selma holds deep significance for Unitarian Universalists and is also reeling from a devastating tornado that hit Selma in early January. Today happens to be Selma anniversary, and people are gathered right now as we speak to once again reenact the march and also to mark this occasion. The Living Legacy Project has been working over these months to fund relief efforts to support the communities that have been devastated by the tornado, and especially many of the poor families, working families in Selma. Let us watch this video to see more about the devastation and the work that has been happening.
On January 12, 2023, Selma, Alabama suffered a devastating tornado that ripped through the city for 23 miles from west to east, tearing up homes, destroying businesses, and ripping out hundreds of centuries-old live oak trees draped with Spanish moss, trees that gave the city its southern charm. Along with the trees, hundreds of families were uprooted, losing their homes, their businesses, and most, if not all, of their possessions. The spirit of Selma is strong. People are coming together to help each other through this difficult time. Your generosity will go toward providing temporary housing for those who have been displaced, providing gas cards for those who have cars, and transportation for those who have lost their vehicles. Your donations will help by providing emergency food to those who do not have electricity to power their refrigerators, and in many cases, don't have the refrigerators themselves. It will help with getting trees removed, roofs repaired, windows boarded, And maybe, even most importantly, it will help lift the spirits of the beleaguered residents of Selma, who are grateful to know that people from around the country care. I've heard it said that this was an equal opportunity tornado. Rich and poor were equally devastated, but I dare say it will not be an equal opportunity recovery. People who are members of the country club and own their well-insured homes will be able to hire the contractors, tree cutters, and roofers to repair the damaged properties. But in parts of Selma, especially in East Selma, where homes were already chronically unmaintained, many of the property owners will abandon their damaged properties rather than repair them, leaving even more people victims of an already overcrowded rental market. Your generosity makes it a little easier for people to do whatever it is they need to do in this difficult time. We'd like to leave you with 2 images from Selma. The first is the Blank Slate Monument, a mobile monument which describes itself as a tribute to African American history in the face of the Confederacy. Today it holds a special message. You can read about it at blankslatemonument.com. And finally, the setting sun over the Edmund Pettus Bridge and the Alabama River taken on January 27th. May this represent a blanket of love for the people of Selma. And whether you can afford to give more at this time, keep the people of Selma in your heart. Never forget what they did for all of us.
Our offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you, members of the choir, Jasmine, Adam, for that healing song. I need you. I need you. I need you to survive. It's a good reminder. It's a good reminder on this day and as we explore this theme, which is the spiritual theme for this month, vulnerability. And I was reluctant to take on this theme today. I was just hoping that Reverend Ali or Reverend Dana would say, "Oh, I'll do the service." And they didn't. See, I don't like being vulnerable. Actually, I hate being vulnerable. And I know I'm not alone in this. That's part of the toxic masculinity that we get conditioned as we grow up and learn to unlearn as we go through it. And part of that is not to be vulnerable. Because in order to be vulnerable, one has to be okay with all of oneself, including the parts of ourselves that we like to deny or keep hidden or somehow feel ashamed about. And the trouble is, we get all caught up in trying to communicate a version of ourselves that we think people want to see. And some of us, including yours truly, want to appear wise, successful, calm, peaceful. You know that Om Shanti Shanti. Appear in control, the expert who has an answer to everything. And we work really hard to keep up this image and to hide those parts of ourselves that we are not sure about or feel don't fit well with our projected image or feel insecure about. And the truth is, it is impossible to keep this act together all the time. Because inevitably a moment comes, and thank God in my life there have been so many moments when something hits us so strongly that we cannot pretend any longer. And then we end up appearing as we actually are, flawed, fragile, struggling, insecure, and fully human. See, for some of us, our upbringing did not teach us how to be vulnerable. We've had to learn sometimes the hard way as we have journeyed through life and encountered life's challenges and crises. Now, as many of you know, I was raised by a single mother in India who taught me to never let others see when I was hurting or in pain, and warned me that if I did, it would be seen as showing weakness, and that I would be taken advantage of. Now, she was my mother, who was just trying to protect me from being hurt by the world that had hurt her badly. And it took me years of spiritual practice and therapy and learning by observing loved ones and colleagues and congregants. And I still fall back to unlearn my childhood internalization of my mother's fears and to actually take the risk of being vulnerable with others and to embrace it as a gift, as a strength, and not as a weakness. Dr. Brené Brown is a leading researcher and author on shame and vulnerability, and I'm sure many of you have read and seen her amazing TED Talk that's been seen by millions and millions of people. She defines vulnerability as the ability to navigate uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. She writes, vulnerability is the core of all emotions and feelings. To feel is to be vulnerable. To believe vulnerability is weakness is to believe that feeling is weakness. To foreclose on our emotional life out of a fear that the cost will be too high is to walk away from the very thing that gives purpose and meaning to living. Brown says that vulnerability is at the heart of all positive emotions: compassion, empathy, love, joy, that it is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and the word that makes us all nervous and shudder: change. And it is displayed in her research by people who she calls wholehearted people. Wholehearted people, she says, are those who have embraced their vulnerability with courage and are living more authentic, connected, and whole lives. Now, I want to be clear that Brown is not saying that we are called to be vulnerable or carry out vulnerability out front at every moment and in every situation in our lives. She's not talking about vulnerability as a virtue that is to be practiced when we suffer racism or sexism, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, and other forms of oppression or abuse. What she is saying is that while embracing our vulnerability is not weakness, neither does it mean we will never have problems, make mistakes, or suffer. It is recognizing that to be alive is to be vulnerable. It's the place we are open to the world, whether we want to or not, to care no matter what, to turn ourselves toward the suffering of the world willingly and let it stretch our compassion and allow our heart to be broken again and again. And that puts us into proper relationship with the world. Why? Because we have to ask for help. We have to make the invitation to the people who will help us create the conversation which will help us follow the path of vulnerability into the world and give our gift to others along the way. Tibetan Buddhist teacher Chogyam Trungpa describes this way of being as meeting our edge and softening. Meeting our edge and softening. You see, the call of the spiritual journey is that we keep on in some way in life meeting our edge, our edges. Edges where we feel uncomfortable, feel threatened, or where we feel we have failed or feel insecure. And rather than retreating or fighting or whatever else we are habituated to do to armor our hearts, to try to soften and open ourselves, to stay and breathe with life that is here right now, not tensing against it. What we find when we start opening to the life that is here with us now is that we begin to open to our vulnerability that we may have covered up, protected, or have been running away from. And when we awaken to opening to that which we don't want to feel and that we are not conditioned to feel, let alone share, then we start to discover a new freedom. Jalaluddin Rumi puts it beautifully. Very little grows on jagged rock. be ground, be crumbled so wild flowers will come up where you are. You've been stony for too many years, so try something different. Surrender. Surrender. Now, I don't think I am any better at vulnerability than anyone else, even if I can quote Brene Brown or the Buddha or Rumi and preach all the science and spirituality behind vulnerability. What I am aware of and try to work with myself, and I fail almost on a daily basis, that I try to work with myself on in my own struggle with vulnerability is learning to be kind. Being kind with myself, and that is very hard indeed, starting with the fact that it's not comfortable to lean into my vulnerability. And also that I've just been completely conditioned and trained and educated not to feel this discomfort, not to be comfortable with it, being part of the truth about myself, and certainly not to show it to all of you. So being kind to myself, but also to push myself, to urge myself, invite myself to try and stay with, to stick with whatever resistance arises, whatever it's to be tougher or embarrassed or angry or fearful because I'm feeling vulnerable. And then learning to just notice those feelings when they arise and not get mad at myself when I go there, and try to keep noticing, keep breathing, and keep flexing that muscle at pulling back at reality, the truth, which is the vulnerability. And if there is any kind of benefit to knowing all this, I just try to carry that knowledge around with me and let it be more at home, not just in my head, but in my body. And then to know that I'm not alone, that I don't have to do it all by myself, that I can ask for help, and that I will receive it. So I close with these familiar words from George Odell. We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid. We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone. We need one another when we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us. So may it be.
There's a wall 1,000 feet high. It's blocking the sky, and its bricks are formidable too. I'm agreeing with you. But just as walls can be built, they can be unbuilt too. Or at least a tunnel carved through. You can do hard things, that's what you do. And I'll do them with you. We can do hard things, we've done them before. So we'll do some more. You can do hard things. I know there's a sea miles wide, can't see the other side. And our boat, we're a tired crew. I'm agreeing with you. But as we struggle to row, we still know how to row. And you keep it clear which direction we should go. You can do hard things, that's what you do. And I'll do them with you. We can do hard things, we've done them before. So we'll do some more. We can do hard things. And I remember easy. Do you remember easy? Those messes, they didn't seem that easy when we were inside. And now we're in this chaotic hunk of mess. But we have to keep finding the ways to say yes. And I know you can do hard things. That's what you do. And I'll do them with you. We can do hard things. We've done them before. So what's some more we can do? We will do. Because you can do hard things.
It might sound weird, but it feels comforting to look around and see all of us here together, supporting each other amidst our vulnerabilities. That's what being here in community is about, right? This Cedar Lane community has supported me through quite a few periods of joy and vulnerability since my husband Travis and I joined in 2006. And I don't just mean the joys and vulnerability of getting married and then becoming clueless new parents. I lost my mom to breast cancer in 2009, my dad to liver cancer in 2014. I changed jobs a few times in between. Travis left his job after 16 years this past fall, and then just a few weeks later, his mother passed away after being ill for 5 years. Nothing quite brings feeling vulnerable into focus like finding out you or someone you love is sick. A lot of us have been through that. The reason I'm up here today is because this time 2 years ago, when the rest of the world was talking about how they had been through COVID for a year, I was about 6 weeks into my new regimen of chemotherapy, learning to manage the nausea and the fear and the fatigue and the general ins and outs of being newly diagnosed with cancer. So I've learned a few things about vulnerability. We found out I had cancer on New Year's Eve, 2020, after months of unexplained bone pain and fatigue and frustrating visits to specialists who couldn't figure out what was going on. I'm sure people here have been through that too. And after a lot of perseverance and insisting on more tests, I got a bone scan that lit up like a Christmas tree that said basically that I had cancer. I had lesions on my bones that were like little hole punches. So at least that explained the cracked ribs and the bone pain. On our first visit to my new oncologist, Travis had to sit and wait outside in the car in the cold because it was cancer during COVID. And that melanoma was allowed inside. I called him so he could hear the doctor, and the doctor said my symptoms indicated I had multiple myeloma, probably, which is blood cancer. It's a cousin of lymphoma and leukemia. It eats away at your bones. But he needed to do a bone marrow biopsy to confirm it. Now, I'm not someone who normally wants someone to come into the doctor's office with me, but I really wanted Travis there. And that was a tough one. So a week later, my oncologist confirmed I had multiple myeloma over Zoom. And as Travis and I held hands and tried to hold it together and held back tears, trying to absorb and understand the whirlwind of details of my subtype and my stage and the plan for my treatment. The doctor told us multiple myeloma is not curable, but manageable, like I suppose diabetes or heart disease, a little different. He said he'd get me as healthy as possible, but eventually, even if my remission lasted for 10 or 20 years, the cancer would eventually come back. He also told us not to be scared by the survival data in his PowerPoint slides, because the rates are calculated based on people of all ages and stages and levels of their health, and that the data is from people who were treated over the last 20 years. New drugs, blah, blah, blah. I mean, stuff I needed to remember, but it was a lot to absorb. He also repeatedly told us not to focus on the little chart where it said the median survival rate for someone with my advanced stage of cancer was about a 54% chance in 5 years. So that was a little bit of a gut punch. Then came the time to sit down our boys, who were 4th and 7th grade at the time, to say, I have cancer, as calmly as possible. Then to explain with glassy eyes that it's good we finally know what's been causing all my tiredness and pain, because now the doctors know how to treat it and I can get better. And I told them it's going to be a tough year, but we're going to get through it together. So for 6 months, I went from one appointment to the next. I had radiation to shrink a tumor that broke my right arm, a tumor on my vertebra. I got a port. I got blood transfusions and chemo infusions and chemo shots in my belly. Found out later one of them was $24,000. I got so many tubes of blood taken. I got a titanium rod in my arm when it didn't heal properly. So frustrating to not be able to drive myself around. And in September 2021, I got a stem cell transplant, an immune system reboot. And I spent 3 very long weeks in the hospital and 3 very long months at home waiting for my immune system to come back. And I got better. So I'm overjoyed to report that I am the poster child for a stem cell transplant working, and there are 0% cancer cells in my blood. And we hope to have a record-settingly long remission. So as you've surmised by now, on the vulnerability scale, 2021 was a big winner. And it's a year I generally like to forget, at least in terms of the physical and emotional and mental stress. But I learned a lot about myself and how I wanted to be in the world. Being that vulnerable forced me to put myself out there and ask for help. And accept it, when I am the person who spent her life viewing myself as the strong one who didn't need help. And my Cedar Lane friends responded. When I asked Ashley Del Sol if she could give me a ride to the doctor's appointment because my arm was broken and Travis couldn't take me that day, she said yes. And then she offered to take me every week. So Ashley drove me to chemo every Monday for 6 months. She drove me to Baltimore for my first chemo shot. She drove me to Virginia once. And with the windows half open and masks on in all sorts of weather, outside and in the car, me crying and in pain and us laughing and chatting, and I'm pretty sure I drooled in the front seat a couple times when I fell asleep. She showed up for me. Rebecca Cushmiter, another member, she set up a meal train for Travis and me and the boys so that he didn't have to cook after working a full day. For months, friends signed up and delivered home-cooked meals for us, comfort food, mac and cheese, even gluten-free, chicken casserole, homemade enchiladas, some really amazing barbecue. And perhaps more importantly, Rebecca reported to me that when my son Ben was hanging out with her son, that Ben seemed okay, that I shouldn't worry. Sarah Preston asked me once if she could get me anything from the farmer's market. And after gratefully accepting a couple times, I politely declined, not wanting to trouble her. But the next thing I knew, I walked out on my front porch and there was a bag of apples that she had left just because. And I've lost my place. Sarah also shared her own cancer experience with me. She lent me a headscarf before I lost my hair so I could get a little more ready. And she empathized with me about how tired I was. She understood. So during my 3-month isolation period at home after my stem cell transplant, all 3 of them took me on masked walks around the neighborhood. They got me out of the house for some much needed fresh air and exercise and company. They listened while I talked about cancer for a while. Then they got my mind off cancer with their own news and stories. And then they walked me home and told me to go rest. I can't tell you how many of you, and I truly can't because I have some chemo-induced short-term memory loss, sent gift cards and lovely cards and restaurant gift certificates and Starbucks cards, and just every card and every gesture of loving kindness cheered me up and gave me a way to relax a little bit from the stress of fighting cancer so I could find more strength to get better and feel better. Did I mention the amazing Cedar Lane Choir, where I sang for 7 years before getting sick, dedicated more than one song to me while I was in treatment? And you also supported Travis, which means so much to me. He needed your support and friendship and community, and you gave it willingly and openly and so generously. Even just in the YouTube chat, when I was watching the service from home, too immunocompromised to be able to come and leave the house, there were so many Cedar Lane friends that would just say how happy they were to see me in the chat participating. That stuff matters. Lest I not forget, I'll be one day last spring when my immune system was strong enough for me to leave the house, Albie asked me to lunch, and he asked me to become a worship associate. He said it might be a good way to get back into the church life just a little bit while I was recovering. And I told him if I said yes, it would be my first extracurricular activity post-cancer, my first foray back into giving to others after you all gave so much to me and my family. Thank you, Albie. So this type of community is special. And when my family and I were most in need, you were here for us. Without the tremendous support we got here, the we miss yous and the you got this, and the cards and the check-ins, and just the amazingly supportive community here, I'm honestly not sure if I would be here. You gave me strength to endure in the worst time of my life and then wake up ready to face a new day and be grateful. I'm so grateful. When you're told that you have an incurable disease, it gets you thinking about things. Life and death and spirit and, you know, that sort of stuff. Growth, joy, love, grace, patience, these are all part of these vulnerable moments, but the gifts, the gift side, resilience, grit. So I guess if I'm so vulnerable, I'm a big ball of grit. Kidding aside, being sick changed me, as I'm sure it has for other people. I have this very real, much greater appreciation for how privileged I am to have health insurance that covered nearly all of my very expensive treatments, disability insurance that allowed me to stay home and not be working while I was sick, and life-saving drugs. I mean, all amidst seeing others not have that necessarily in a global pandemic. The silver lining of my vulnerability when I was sick is feeling the most profound gratitude for the kindness of friends. Ashley and Rebecca and Sarah and so many others, these friends I already cared about, they commiserated with me and laughed with me, but they rose to this whole other level. These wonderful women were my cheerleaders, are my cheerleaders, and I am theirs. The gift of being vulnerable and learning to lean in and accept help is many gifts. It taught me to admit I'm not in complete anal retentive control of everything. It taught me to slow down and rest and literally be more present and enjoy the flowers. I already knew that I married a smart and talented singer and pianist, but somehow, amidst the worry and fear, Travis leaned in and found the strength and the words to write a song for me, for us, while I was sick and while he was worried sick. So, the gift of vulnerability, it teaches us to stretch the rubber band, to navigate change, and find the courage to let go enough to make space so we can let people in and opportunity and love and grace. So when I faced so much vulnerability, I had to dig deep. But I looked to the blessings, and I rediscovered them all around me. So thank you so much for being there for us.
Thank you so much, Melissa and Travis. You remind us on such a deep level that in giving we receive, and in receiving we give. Thank you. I'd like to invite you all to sit comfortably in your chairs. If you have anything in your hands, please set it on the ground or next to you. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Fill that belly and let it out. Yes. Again, breathing deeply. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. I invite you to sing with me these words. I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. Join me first on a hum. I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. Taking a deep breath in once more, I invite you to return to this space and open your eyes when you're comfortable to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny Lynn. The time has come for us to release control and to live into our knowledge that this congregation is more than just the building.
Cedar Lane is not just the building, it's the people who are here.
Yes, the people who are here and the people who join us from all over the world. Let the congregation say, Cedar Lane is more than the building. The congregation is the people.
The congregation is the people who founded this religious community and gave us the name Montgomery County Unitarian Center in 1951.
The people who built this building in 1958 and changed the name to Cedar Lane Unitarian Church in 1961.
All the people who changed the name to Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Congregation in December 2022.
It is all the people who came before us who toiled in hope in this house of friendship, a haven in trouble.
This house of freedom, a platform for the free voice.
A house of creativity adorned with the melodies and the handiwork of people.
A house of learning, nurturing the spiritual lives of young and old.
A house of prophecy outrunning times, past and present, and visions of the beloved community.
This house, our house, a laboratory of the Spirit, a cradle for our dreams, a workshop for our common endeavor.
With gratitude, we commemorate each investment of time and each deed of sacrifice that has sustained this house and made for its enrichment.
And it is all of the people who envisioned this house that meets present and future needs and put into motion this day.
Today we all received an LED candle. The candle represents the fire that started burning in 1951.
It represents the sweat, the tears, the long hours, the laughter, the births, the deaths, the trying it on and the committing to. It represents the fire of commitment that burns and has burned in this congregation since its founding day.
This little light represents the fire in each of you and the fire in all of us to allow ourselves the gift of growth, the gift of change, the gift of discomfort, the gift of vulnerability, because we know that the congregation is with us, within us, wherever we are.
Please join us in lighting our flames.
Or turning them on.
Hold them as you need to and look around this space.
Look around into each other's eyes, around the space, these beautiful windows, the shoji screens, our chancel, the chalice, the loft and the balcony and the woodwork, the wonderfully comfortable chairs. Look around and remember that this space is holding all the love that we have and share holding it all in, and it is also telling us to take the love out with us.
And then set your intention for what is to come, knowing that this space will hold us once again.
For we are the congregation. Let us say it together. We are the congregation, and we will shine. We will shine. Let us rise in body and/or in spirit to sing this little light of mine. We're gonna let it shine.
Please join us outside for the groundbreaking. I'm going to sneak around all this way. Thank you very much. Yes, join us right outside for the groundbreaking ceremony. Just out the main doors to the left. Just out the main doors to the left.